He moved into a public restroom with his son in his arms. When someone knocked on the door wanting to use the restroom, he immediately covered his son's ears and then used his foot to push hard against the door. Life was really tough, but he didn't want his son to know the cruelty of reality. He's still trying to protect his son's purity and innocence. But just a few days ago, Chris sat in front of the TV, watching the news broadcast about the dismal economic situation with frustration. He had been unemployed for a long time, with less than a few dollars left in all his savings. His car had been towed away because he couldn't afford to pay the fines. His child had to go to a private school. The rent had been in arrears. And on that day, he was finally kicked out by the landlord. Moreover, under great pressure, his wife chose to leave. The reason for ending up in such a situation was that, before the economic crisis broke out, Chris used all his savings to purchase a batch of medical equipment. He had thought he could make a big profit, but unexpectedly, he couldn't sell any of them. However, to survive, Chris still had to take the machines every day and try his best to promote them to doctors. Even though he forced a smile, it was hard to hide the exhaustion in his heart. On this day, he came to a wonderful place where everyone was very happy. He stopped a man and asked curiously what he did. The man said he was a stockbroker. This planted a dream in Chris's heart. He wanted to have such happiness. Chris took action and soon applied for an internship. After many twists and turns, Chris never gave up and finally ushered in his career. He worked hard, and after work, he rushed to get a bed with his son, eating with many homeless people. Chris was studying all the time. Finally, the internship period reached its last day. On that day, the manager suddenly called him. He suddenly became nervous, took off his glasses, put on his coat, and forced himself to walk into the office. Chris shook hands and sat down.
Wear a shirt today, being the last day and all.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We appreciate that. But, wear one tomorrow, though, okay? Because tomorrow's going to be your first day.
At this moment, he was so excited that he couldn't speak. His red eyes were shining with tears, and he kept nodding, trying not to let the tears fall. When shaking hands, there were still tears on his face. Happiness finally knocked on his door. In the crowd, Chris clapped hard. He cried, but he was happier than everyone around him. This film is adapted from a true story. Due to copyright, we can only show you this far. If you are interested, you can look up When Happiness Knocks.